journalism students. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to take your Humans of HHS interviews and pictures and learn to log into the website and upload them to submit them for publication. Now, if you check your school email address, you should have gotten a confirmation email indicating that I set up a username and password for each of you. Your username will be your first initial and last name. There are two exceptions to that, though. Two students have the same first initial and last name as other siblings that they have, and so those people will get specific emails from me indicating their username that differs from my typical approach. Your password is going to be lowercase, your first initial, your last initial, your school ID number, and then HPS, all lowercase, one word. You're going to go to hhsadvocate.com and you're going to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. Keep going, keep going. Way down here, if you can see my arrow moving, there is a spot that says log in. You're going to click it. Okay, and this is where you log into the back end of the site. I'm going to log in using my credentials, but this is where you will put your first initial last name, full last name, as your username, unless you are one of those two folks that have a sibling that took the class as well. And then your password is going to be your first initial, last initial, your ID number, HPS, all lowercase. And if you hit remember me on your device, it should stay. If any of you have issues with this, just tell me, so I need to know. All right, my dashboard's going to look a little bit different than yours because I'm an administrator of the site, but you'll get something that looks similar to this. What I'd like you to do is to find the Stories tab on the left-hand side. Okay, you're going to go to Add Story, and it's going to bring you to an interface that looks something like this. This is the type of interface we're going to use whether we're uploading a video that we have embedded from a YouTube site where we've already exported it to. This is where we will put photo galleries and all kinds of stuff. But for our purposes today, we're just going to submit one single person's Humans of HHS profile. Where it says headline, I'm going to have you put the student name. I'm going to do one that is just an example. I'm going to put Sol Rosado, and I'm going to, in parentheses, put her graduation year. So this way I know what class she's in. She's a senior, but she was the class of 2020, but it's an example from last year. On this doc here, you see I have the 3 questions I asked her. What is your spirit animal? Are you planning on doing winter cheer again? And what are your plans for after high school? Great. I have it in a doc. You might just need to type it from a text. It doesn't really matter, but you want to include the question and the response just like this appears here. In this box, I am going to put that information. Now, if you were just typing it from the start, you can just say, what is your spirit animal? Animal, question mark. And then she's going to say, a lion. Okay. Highlight this. Make it bold, you're good. Now, if you happen to have, and you would do your other two, if you typed these in a Google Doc, I want you to see where my arrow is pointing right here. There is a visual representation and then what's called text. Okay. If you want to cut and paste from Google Classroom, from a text or let's say your email or something like that, make sure you are clicked on the text tab. I'm going to go here. I'm going to highlight all of this. I'm going to hit, Control C. I'm going to go back to this tab. I'm going to hit paste. And you're like, well, that doesn't look like the same font. If I go back to visual, you'll see that it is the style it should be. I do have to bold them myself. Even if you had it bolded in your Google Doc, it's not going to carry over. Okay. But I'm just going to show you this thing real too. I'm going to delete all this. You can see that it's here when I pasted it to text, but if I was still on the visual tab, okay, Right now, I'm hitting Control V and nothing is going. And you're going to be like, Mrs. Kirsch, it's not working. I'm going to say, in order to paste text, click on the text tab and then paste and then go over to the visual and then bold them because that'll help us, differentiate the question from the response. You do not need to number them. You do not need to hit Q&A. It's kind of implied. Okay, so that's how I will get the responses to the questions that I posed to my person I interviewed. If you scroll down, you're going to see a spot for writer's name. Dave's name is in here because I was doing it as an example earlier. I'm going to put my name. So in this case, I'll use my example from last year. I'll say this was Israel Reyes. You want to put this as the same name that's being used for your staff profile. A couple of you have, full names that I asked if you wanted to abbreviate it. For example, did you want Billy instead of William? Did you want Matt instead of Matthew? Did you want Nick instead of Nicholas, or did you prefer Nicholas? Whatever name you told me, if you have a name that is sometimes abbreviated, it has to match that exactly in order for it to link to your staff profile. So just keep that in mind. The reporter's job title, you're just going to put reporter. This is writer's job title. You're just going to put reporter. Okay? And there's nothing else down here that you need to do. However, there are some things on the right-hand side, and because of that, I'm going to move myself, all right, that is worth paying attention to. The first of which is categories. There's already created categories in here. Okay, you can see a bunch of them exist. In order to make this work, you have to click on Humans of HHS, and that will ensure that it goes on the tabbed page. It's a subcategory under our Features tab on our homepage, that this will go there, and then it'll be featured there. If you don't pick a category, no one can ever see it. Like, there's nowhere for it to exist. So just keep that in mind. You have to check a category, and in this case, the category is Humans of HHS. Now, if you scroll down further, we have one last job, and that's to add the photograph that you had received from this person or that you took from this person. It's called our featured image, and I'm going to hit Set Featured Image. It brings me to a library where I have a bunch of media uploaded from some other projects we're working on. But if you have it, let's say, in your drive or something like that, you're going to go to Upload Files, Select Files. I am not sure if it's going to let you guys pull from your drives, and that's an interesting question. And that'll be something that you can tell me about once you try tomorrow. I'm right now on my laptop, and so I have a picture of Soul linked right here that I can get in there. So I have it here. The title of it should say her name. I'm just going to put Soul Rosado. The photographer, if it is something they just sent to you, you can say courtesy photo. If it is a picture that you took, put your name. Yeah, so something like that. That works. Hit Set Featured Image. And then instead of Publish, you guys won't have that button because you're not an administrator. It's going to, in blue, say Submit for Review, and you're going to click it. And you should get a verification at the email address that your username is logged into. I'm not sure if it's set by default, but you could check. And now, when I go to the Devil's Advocate, now you won't see yours immediately, but since I went straight to publishing, I will see hers right here. I like, if you have a freshman, that's going to be the class of 24. If you have a sophomore, it's going to be the class of 23. If you have a junior, it's going to be the class of 22. And if you interview with seniors, it's the class of 21. But these will be here. I did at one point have them embedded and featured here, like this. Oh, I still do. There it is. A little grid of some of the recent ones. And I like, this will be a grid of any recent story that's done. But this should populate with a whole new set of faces once you guys submit. You're going to submit 3 of these for me. I asked you to get started on it Monday, reaching out to people. I emphasized it again on Tuesday for you to be able to then do this on Wednesday. Okay. So if you have issues with your username or password, please send me a remind or an email today so that I can work out any maybe like issues I had with that. You guys have several other tasks you're supposed to do today as well. Well, not several other tasks. You're also supposed to send me a picture of you horizontally in landscape to feature with your staff profile. And that will, if you click up here, be the place where your work will be featured. Okay, already started creating some of these for us. Um, you just need to send me a horizontal or a landscape picture to go with your staff profile, and then when I publish your Humans of HHS, actually these will be the first things you have linked to your profile, and we'll also give it some press on social media as well. I hope to be updating some grading. We don't have any yet. And really do inventory as well today. So reach out if you have any questions or issues with your username and password. Again, I'm going to reach out to the two folks who I had to do a variant of the username because they had siblings with the same first initial last name. But check your school email address for that information. All right. I'll see you when I see you, I guess.